So today we're going to talk a little bit about how to flush up these dovetails. I should have included this when I was talking about the filling any gaps that we might have, but I didn't have my flush cut saw. I still can't locate where it's at. So a flush cut saw is basically a Japanese saw. This is not a flush cut saw. This is just a Japanese pull saw that I've added some blue tape to. What makes a flush cut saw is the fact that it has a flat side where the teeth are flush with the bottom side of the saw, and there's what's called a set, so some of the teeth are bent away from the surface. That allows you to have a saw kerf so that your saw blade doesn't get bound up or caught when you're sawing, but having the side that has teeth that don't have any set, that allows you to set this flush on a surface and draw it back and forth without the teeth digging into your surface. I've just taken a regular Japanese saw. I got this one at Ace, I believe. It's just a regular Irwin saw that I've added some blue tape to. That will space this up away from the surface a little bit so that the teeth won't dig into my surface. You can accomplish the same thing by putting a piece of paper or something on your little bench to act as a little buffer between the teeth and your piece. So the easiest way to deal with these proud teeth is, if I have quite a bit of material sticking up, I'm going to use this flush cut saw. I have enough material that it's practical to use my flush cut saw. If I only have a less than a paper thickness sticking up, then I'm probably going to skip this step, but I need to remove a little bit more material. So I'm obviously going to keep my finger out of the way. This is a really sharp saw, and if I have my thumb right here, I run the risk of digging those really sharp teeth into my finger. So I'm going to keep my thumb at a safe distance, and I'm going to keep my fingers on the saw itself to keep nice pressure down on the surface. So I'm just going to gently saw. If I come off of the surface, I can always come to the other side and saw from the other side. A flush cut saw is more effective if you have a lot of material you're trying to remove. I had more material than what I wanted to try to block plane away. That's why I'm sawing. But that's pretty good. So it's relatively flush. I have a high spot here in the middle where I couldn't, where the saw kept rising up. So I have a couple of different ways of addressing that. I can use a chisel. A really, really sharp chisel is the best. And I'm going to just take, and I'm going to actually pivot the chisel. I'm not going to go straight at it like this. I'm going to set this on the surface and push down with a fair bit of pressure on the chisel, and I'm just going to rotate it. It's making a slicing cut. I'm just using that corner to do all of my cutting, and because I've got my flat back of my chisel on the surface of my bench, I can guarantee myself that it's going to be nice and flat. This only works if I have a nice sharp chisel. So if I'm going to be doing this, I'm going to touch up the edge of my chisel to ensure that it's really sharp. If it's not sharp, it's just going to tear at it, and I'm not going to be happy with my results. Another way I can address this high spot is to use my block plane. This is a Lee Nielsen 102. I have several different block planes. This is my favorite, but any of them will work. Just again, make sure that you have a nice sharp blade. I'm not going to start with the plane on the surface and then come out this way. That's just asking to tear out these fibers here at the end. I'm going to start from the end and push in towards the middle. I have this set for a really light cut. Because this is end grain, if I try to be too aggressive, it's going to just tear things to bits. So I want to keep checking to make sure I'm not going too far. I don't want to dig my block plane into the surface right now. And that looks pretty good. That looks like I've got it fairly flush. Then I can come back in with the chisel and just make sure that everything's nice and level.